guest characters. There used to be seemingly few of them sprinkled infrequently amongst the rosters of our fighting games, but nowadays, if you have a look, there's multiple in every game. Not only are there multiple, they seem to be just terrorizing all the other characters and all these other rosters. Let's have a look. Are they good for the games or are they bad for the games? Now, guest characters ain't anything new in fighting games, but they have been around for a very long time. Got Yoda in the background here, messing up Strong Mina, messing up the cast of Soul Calibur, and it goes even before that. Got characters like this little prick here, Gon. I'm sure you that have played against Gon understand what I'm talking about. He's worse than fighting Eddie, worse than fighting Dr. B. He's a prick. But yeah, these characters fundamentally break the game. So if you look at Yoda here, in Soul Calibur, the throws work similar to a Mortal Kombat system where they're high. And you break them depending on if you're guessing on getting thrown forwards or backwards. But Yoda, since he's like a short king, he's able to just naturally go underneath and grab. Even like in the earlier days of guest characters, they are showing signs of having privilege over the rest of the roster. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't have his downsides as well. He's got what people were saying was like low damage output or whatever. But if you're ignoring a whole part of the game, I think that's distinct advantage. This final video, comment, log, share, gold, subscribe. So here is a character I'm actually pretty familiar with in terms of like tournament and how being abused by this character. Is Scorpion in Injustice 1, and this character, like I was saying about the other guest characters, he fundamentally breaks the way the game works. So in Injustice 1, or just Injustice games in general, the way you block is by holding back. It's like a Street Fighter or an anime game. You can also hold down to block. Scorpion is a Mortal Kombat character. In Mortal Kombat, you press a button to block. It means that you can have different types of moves that work. So he teleports behind you. And if you're holding back to block, he teleports behind you. You're now holding forward and he's hitting you. All right, okay, so that's part one of it. Part two of it is, so he jumps forward at you and he swings his sword, right? You'll watch PL doing the swinging sword there. He'll jump forward at you and do that. So what you got to do to block that is hold back. If he jumps at you, swings a sword in front of you, teleports behind you, you got to block left and right at the same time. Now you're stuck in a mix-up between, is he going to swing the sword immediately or is he going to teleport behind me? Also, he has lows and he has plus on block teleport. So he's not only teleporting behind you, he's doing it and it's plus on block. So all of these things meant that you're kind of just stuck on the ground. There is an alternative way to block an Injustice, which is just holding down. But holding down also loses to the jumping. Scorpion in this year, I think this is 2013 CEO. CEO is a very cursed tournament for NetherRealm games. They're normally around the time of the release of the initial DLC. Scorpion was one of them, and there was a lot of Scorpion representation in this tournament. PL went really far with him. He was a good Scorpion player. As you can see, he's all over the screen. This is a very PL character, actually. He's able to like pick you up in the air and all that. He's teleporting left, right. And yeah, a lot of characters would struggle with that fundamentally because in this game, characters' anti-airs weren't too strong and he was the only character really abusing left, right, just from anywhere. It wasn't like it was you have to set something up for this to happen. It was literally you just need to jump at him and then the game's on. Ultimately though, the fate of Scorpion was that he was going to dominate the tournament like CEO, get nerfed very soon after, and basically he went from top one to bottom one. So he may not be a very great case of dominating the game over a long period of time, but the short amount of time he had there, he was in control, like that the game revolved around him. Right, so next up we have a true offender, a real wrong'un, Alien from MKX, right? This one was the first one where I thought this is getting done. This character is pure insanity, and if you've played MKX, you know that that game is like rabies. Everyone's got rabies, frothing at the mouth madness, run at you, do 50-50, armor all over the place, right? Everything that is MKX is personified or alienified by Alien, right? So you want 50-50s that launch, you want them to do it from half screen, three-quarter screen, you got them. You want projectiles from all angles that do damage over time as well, you got it. You got throws that do quarter life, yeah, that's fine. Armored launcher, everything. Poke that adds, not only was it like a 9 frames, like a pretty good down 4 in that game, but it also stacked venom on you. So the more you've got venom on you, the more poisoned you are, the more you start bleeding out, and all these things, it would spit its blood all over the place and you'd be stuck in it, bleeding out more damage for every attack it did, and it was just ultimately a nightmare. And this character was so stupid. This is how I'm going to say it. It's like, the character is stupid to the degree that I believe if you were to give a random number generator all of the inputs that Alien could possibly do in a match, like say, yeah, type out 100 moves or whatever, however many moves that are pressed in a game, played it out in a match, it wouldn't look too different, or it could work on probably anyone because the nature of the character is you don't know which way you're blocking, high, low, whatever, throw, and you're going to get hit by all these projectiles. Have safe mixed up, so you kind of have to stand block your overhead, but then the low becomes free, and it's just totally a mess. And this character was meta defining. It's the same sort of thing as the Injustice 1 Scorpion thing I was talking about. So in this clip, you see I'm playing Melina, right? Melina, at that point in time, some people would say she was the best in the game. It was either like between Alien, Melina, and Demo Sonya, right? So Demo Sonya was another war crime. We'd be throwing out grenades, covered her in with 50-50s and whatnot. Melina was a bit more tame compared to those two, in my opinion. But this character was there to just stop all that. It was nightmarish. And if you went back and watched all the tournaments from that period of time when Alien was at its peak, you'll see not only one variation of Alien worked. Acidic Alien, the one I'm talking about with the Venom stack. I'll cut an Alien, which was just wreckers that would plus on block. So you'd be holding a 50-50 into a wrecker, which they could make plus in block if they delayed it. And then if it hit you, you got launched, and it was all just nightmare fuel. Exactly how an Alien should be, though, to be fair. I mean, can't really fault it at that point. Alien was doing what Alien was supposed to be doing. It's just the perfect organism, innit? It's there to mess you up. But yeah, I think this is like a true sign towards pay to win being a thing, because you weren't picking a character like Jax versus Alien and gonna live. Or actually, no, wait, Jax might have done. You needed a 6-frame. Basically, your character had to have a 6-frame button to be able to punish the safe option of Alien's 50-50. And 6-frame buttons are kind of rare in NOS games. They're like a privilege to have. And not many characters were truly destroying Alien for all of this. So, yeah, most of the cast didn't really want to deal with what Alien was doing. Alien was quite happy to run about doing whatever, random number generator style fighting. There are other characters I could bring up in the Mortal Kombat franchise, such as Homelander and T-1000 and Peacemaker. All of them had horrendous effects on the meta of the game that they're in, MK1. But I think I don't really need to do that, as I did that in the last video. If you want to check out the video about MK1 fans are mad, I'll kind of go over it in there. This is a recurring theme in Mortal Kombat. It's kind of to be expected now. So when like a DLC comes out, you got to be aware the guest character might mess you up if you're like trying to worry about a matchup or whatever. If you don't and you're just messing around on the game, there's whatever in it. Pick your Peacemaker and torpedo people to death. So, moving across to the Capcom side of things, we got Mai in Street Fighter 6, and I'm sure I said Mai, and some of you just had a little twitch, little spasm down your back, cold shiver, or whatever. This is a character, if you've been on Twitter or in any of the Twitch chats or just listen to any of the commentary from the Street Fighter players, this character is basically what they would say is just like brain dead autopilot character ruining their game. I mean, you can see throw loop, which that's a Street Fighter 6 thing. I don't think that's specifically a Mai thing, but Mai is definitely a character. I mean, I've played her, I got her to master. I'm not like the greatest Mai player, but I understand how she works. Yeah, so her whole thing, it's Street Fighter 6 dumbed down. You get someone in the corner, get a dash up, get a throw. Throw is perfectly timed. You can also shimmy, perfectly timed. She's a good character to learn how to open someone up in Street Fighter, but it's also you have to do it in a very simple way. There's also other elements to her game, like the fan. People will complain about the fan. The fan, because it is a projectile, it hits twice because it will bounce off of you, and you'll have to respect it on the second hit, and she can drive rush behind it. Now you're basically saying at any point in a match you can throw and run behind it, and now the game is yours. Your opponent has to guess, because you try and walk back, you might get clipped by a low. If you sit still, you might end up getting overheaded. If you try and parry, you might take a throw. If you parry and eat the throw, it's like the same situation again, basically. If you try and jump the fan and it's in the wrong space and fan's already out, you get anti-ed, and now you got to hold another fan. There's a lot of situations where you're eating fans with this character. The greatest representation of her at the minute is actually Lashar in the background here. He just recently won Combo Breaker and CEO back-to-back using a combination of Mai, Terry, and to be fair, it wasn't all Mai's doing, but this is it's a great example of the strength of a guest character. And I think Street Fighter historically hasn't had such a bad time with guest characters. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. Abigail. Isn't Abigail from Final Fight as well? He's from Final Fight. I'm confusing Final Fight and Fatal Fury, but whatever. You get my point. Abigail was making people cry. I remember that. He was making people cry in real life. It was almost like the Shiva incident. Maybe worse. I don't know. He was making grown men cry. I remember Problem X doing that to people. They're not as egregious in Street Fighter, I would say. Like, they occasionally have a guest character. They had Akira in the last game. Isn't that from Rival Schools? So they they dabble in the idea of the guest fighter, but they don't let, for the most part, the guest fighter run the meta. So yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad till Mai came out, but you know, some people love her, some people hate her. I think she's still playing the game in a similar sort of fashion, and I don't think she totally destroys the meta in such a way that, in such the same sort of fashion that a Alien or T1000 is capable of doing, you know. So that's my sort of outlook on how it is in Street Fighter. Is it pay to win? It's a little bit pay to win. Is it really destroying everything in the game? Not quite, I don't think. However, not all guest characters are created equally. Here we got Salvatore Ganassi. And he is a guest character playing himself in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. This was not a meta-defining character, and he was definitely made with a lot of attention to detail and love, I'd say, because he's quirky. He's not like the other girls, right? So he's a different sort of character. He's definitely a bit of an oddball character, and I don't think he was really doing much damage in tournaments compared to pretty much any other guest character that I've got on this list. Or maybe if you consider another character within the same game, like Ronaldo, who was also not doing too much. But he's definitely a character and not a meta-defining one. So he's probably a good argument to the opposite of what the point of the video is. Like, our guest characters problematic? And when you look into the case of something like Salvatore or just City of the Wolves in general, characters that they did in this game that are guests aren't actually destroying the game in the same sort of way, which then brings up the question, you know, fighting games, they always end up unbalanced, or like all of them pretty much. And does it really matter if it's a guest character or a main roster character? My argument would be yes. I'd rather have like a character of that franchise being the most busted in that game, DLC or not. At least let their, you know, their truly busted character be their character. But yeah, Salvatore, I think he's a good answer to the opposite of what I'm saying in this point. So Tekken 7 was another game to introduce guest characters after not having them in for a while, as far as I can recall. But they added Negan and Noctis, right? So Noctis had a few complaints about him, but I don't think he was really a meta-defining character. Negan, though, super popular character and totally like out of the blue, you wouldn't have expected him to be in the game. And for what my memory serves, he was a character that he was a bit potato, like, yeah, like, not, you know, not cool, do the armor move, whatever, and get launched because you're stupid for throwing it out. But he seemed to be pretty well received, I think. So he, again, is another character that will be useful for the counter argument of, you know, is he destroying the game? No. He was in there, he was cool, he had a cool stage. I think Negan's a good example of a character, guest character done right. And especially one that was sort of doesn't really fit into the universe of Tekken. Think about it. He's probably more of a Mortal Kombat character, if anything, but he didn't destroy the game. I think overall his addition was pretty well received. A lot of players liked him. He was a pretty chill dude. I ain't really got anything bad to say about Negan. Yeah, I don't think he destroyed the game. Pretty good. What, you thought I wasn't going to talk about Homelander and Terminator? Of course I'm going to talk about Homelander and Terminator. These two characters are like insane. And they're actually, if you check out any of the public discourse around Mortal Kombat 1, a lot of the things that people were hating about the game is Homelander and Terminator. And I'm a Homelander hater. I can sort of tolerate Terminator. I respect that Terminator is actually a baby food, goo goo gaga, any sort of dribbling idiot can pick him up and just mix you up. Homelander, same sort of thing, just with increased power in neutral, right? So yeah, these characters, they're actually showing that they're pay to win at this point, because check the tournament results, any sort of top end of the bracket, right? Homelander is always pulled out. So to win, Homelander is always brought out. And T1000, I know you'll get like, 3D might say something like, yeah, okay, he's actually losing in all these matches, but T1000 is making all these lower level players be able to be a threat to higher level players. So I think with this sort of DLC, they are actually destroying the game. Whether it be low level or high level, they're boosting the skill level of a lower level player, which is creating artificial skill, or they're increasing the power of the top level player, again, in the same sort of way. And I think it's ultimately, like in this game, it's creating a terrible gameplay loop. is not enjoyable for anyone involved, I don't think, unless you really just want to press the same button into the same rock, paper, scissors mix up and have a 66% chance of being right. Okay, it's all well and good. You really want to press, okay, I might command grab you through any of my normals on block. No, it's not being received well by the community, I don't think. Like, you can ask, like, even if you don't go into my stream or you go into anyone else's stream, they're going to be moaning about T1000. They're going to be moaning about Homelander. They'll probably still be moaning about Cyrax as well, but that's different. Cyrax isn't a guest character. I think people are a bit more tolerant, something like that. But in the same game, you also have Omni-Man, who is what a lot of people consider one of the weaker characters in the game. So I think ultimately it comes down to, like, what is the likelihood of guest characters in your game? Not are they destroying, but what is the likelihood? And I think in NRS games, it's up there. So I'll move on to my next point and we'll discuss that. Before my closing words, if you wanted me to answer my own question, are guest characters destroying the games or are they problematic? I'd say if you're going to ask me in terms of competition, yes. And the reason is because if you look at all of the games, let's say that even just the past 10 years, there's enough cases of a guest character actually affecting the meta so much that they're basically nullifying a vast majority of characters in the main roster, which then kills the identity of the characters that make the game, if that makes sense. However, if you want to flip it on its head and say, does it destroy the game competitively? And you could answer no, because they bring in a lot more attention for players that wouldn't have otherwise played the game. Like if you look at a channel like FDX, right? FDX, pretty sure his story is he started Tekken because he's a Final Fantasy fanboy and he wanted to play Noctis. And he got good with Noctis, which brought him into the franchise. So that's a net positive in that regard. And I think if you're a hardcore fan, it's a bad one if the characters are too strong. If you're a casual fan, it could be good because it brought you in. I think it's sort of like how I plan to play a lot of Street Fighter 6 in the near future because I'm a Muay Thai guy and I like Sagat. And Sagat is a Muay Thai guy and I think he's sick and he's a sick character. So he's at least pull me in for the obligatory 2 weeks of new shiny thing in fighting games. Let me know what you think because I like all of you lot that comment on my channel and give out you're actually giving me some sick detailed breakdowns and reasons of what you're saying. I genuinely appreciate that. I think you guys are actually surprisingly god tier YouTube comment section. It's weird, you lot are doing something right. I appreciate it. And yeah, so let me know what you think. Are the characters that are guests destroying the game for you? What's your perspective from your skill level or your frequency of playing the game? How into it are you? Are you a sweat? Are you a nerd and you think, yeah, this character can do one? Don't want to be getting aliened by some dribbling toddler? Or are you I play it for a bit and I grew up playing SNK games. I'm a Mai fanboy, Mai Goon or whatever, and you're I'm gonna play Mai in Street Fighter 6. Yeah, just let me know what you think. But ultimately, appreciate you all watching my videos, and I'm trying to do a bit more bits here and there, getting a bit of a routine. And let me know if there's any other topics you want to talk about that could be interesting. There's a couple I've got from previous videos that I might start working on. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one, innit? Take care.